Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the ratings, the round 6 ratings here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. I'm Terry, and that's Pommy, and we are up and about, mate. What's happening?
What's happening, Pogba? Not much, mate. Monday's a fairly busy prep day for the week ahead, so I've just been doing that and been nice just to relive a good weekend. Hey, it's always nice. Monday is my prep day, so it was quite depressing last week because obviously you're rehashing the loss like 5 different ways. So it hits different when you win, doesn't it? It hits different.
It does. You know what, though? In a really weird way, we don't get to enjoy this round without the loss last week, I believe. I think the loss was the stinging sensation that we just needed to feel so we could appreciate a win. But this game in particular was one of the more balanced performances I think I've watched this team have.
I like that philosophy, Terry. Do you know what I mean? Every heartbreak you feel is just one step closer to your true love, as they say. I like that philosophy. Hey, Terry, you were very philosophical there. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I mean, you could say that, Terry, but we did have 2018 where we had 22 losses. So I mean, any win should make you feel good after you experience that. But no, I'm with you, mate. I mean, obviously, took our eye off the ball last week. This week we had it well and truly sewn on, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to go through the ratings. If you are new to the ratings, wow. It's quickly becoming one of the most engaging shows that we have on the channel. What we like to do here is, well, firstly, Pommy has an algorithm. He uses the algorithm and we go through each and every player from the Carlton team. We go through their game and we give them a rating between 0 and 10. And basically the way in which the score is generated is based off a few factors, which you'll see on the screen. And they are compared to players in the league in their own position and also the impact that their opponent has as well. So it's a constantly evolving phenomenon and super informative. I definitely, since we changed this mid last year, watched the game differently for sure.
For show, mate, spot on. You get to see the world through the eyes of Pom, which is entertaining because as happy as I am on the inside, my mind is a minefield. So it's good. I've really enjoyed this, and we saw last week some positives and some negatives. Then you've got the Fremantle game, which was an astute performance, if you will, and then obviously we saw the North Melbourne game, which is what happens when you play chocolate versions of footballers. Do you know what I mean? Just made out of chocolate, just melt with the furnace, as it were. So we'll see what happens when you play a proper football side this week.
Yep, no doubt. Chris Hudge, welcome to Blue Abroad membership. I think we should just start. We should get straight into it.
Is he any relation to the great Mustafa Hadji?
I don't know. Chris, are you in the chat? Let us know.
Mate. Coventry City icon is Mustafa Hadji.
Oh, Alex. I never watched the rating show before Essendon. I stumbled on it last year and have watched each one since. That's what we love to see.
Hey, the Lexi in chat. We love it. We love a bit of Alex Harris. Welcome aboard, me old friend.
Yes. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the players. We're going to go through each player on the field, starting with Mr. Jacob Weitering. Was it this one or this one? Maybe it's this one.
There's only one way to find out.
All right, let's begin. Let's talk about Jacob Weitering. Also, wow, Pommer, you take on the feedback well. We've got the pomogram so you can see what the red hexagon is the league average for each indicator, and the blue is obviously each player. So let's talk about Jacob Weitering's game, the battler this week.
I do. When you piss and moan in the comments, just know somewhere there's a pom going, for fuck's sake, are these people ever happy? just know. But even though I'm insolent, I still do it for you. But as you can see, this was a very interesting game because last week he got battered, right? Yep. I think it's fair to say. This week, Voss did something unusual. He saw very early doors that Jesse Hogan was giving him a wee bit of bother. So he switched it and said to Young, right, you just go and spoil, and Weitering, you go and be a little bit of a beast. And as you can see, he really had a spread. It's really noticeable, Jacob, this week, that usually he's quite good defensively or offensively. This week, it was kind of everything was a blanket average, apart from his one-on-ones, where he won every single one, which is great because last week he won one. So that is really good from Jacob. Definitely massively knocked after that little corky at halftime. We saw the second half, like literally Weitering didn't do anything, which credit to the midfield and the forward line for making that happen for him. But Jacob just doing Jacob things, battling. I mean, the guy was on one leg and kicked ass.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few elements to this. So I think the fact that he needed to rely on Lewis Young a little bit in that second half to chop him out, I thought was a nice little page in the story of the cohesion between the two of them. That was a talking point with us last week. And then got to really see the layers of Jacob Weitering. So he's a really good reader of the ball in the air. And after the corky, his aerial game was taken away from him. And so to watch how he then defended one-on-one and just played the percentages and just allowed the ball to come to ground, he was so hindered. It was beyond a joke. Really good effort. I don't know what he's going to score in the end, but I thought on effort alone, just to finish out the game, thought it was really good.
Mate, good. Nice to see Vossi make some moves. People slate Vossi a lot, I find, particularly when you do the watch-alongs. If you're ever in one of them live chats, people are a little bit up and down with him. But Vossi makes a lot of moves, and it's really noticeable this year. So the algorithm's getting a bit of a test because these guys switch a lot. And we're going to be talking about a lot of defenders today, all trying to find the McGovern role. So, yeah, very good game from Weiters and solid.
There we go. A 6.5 for Jacob Weitering. Then we get to Lewis Young. How'd you find his game, Lewis?
So it's interesting. In the second half, he basically became the legs of Jacob Weitering. So you can see here, I want you to notify. So what I try and do with these stats, people asked me the other day, what are the stats? Why do I choose the stats? What I do is I usually try and highlight some stats that paint a picture so we can get a bit of a understanding. And you can see here that the problem with Lewis Young is he's probably not the greatest mark, right? But when he went to help Weitering, his job was basically get in front of whoever the ball carrier is, the target is, and just bring it to ground. Just bring it to ground. You're going to see a couple of players who really feasted on this. But you can see here, one-on-one, he broke even, which really important. 100% are rare as rocking horse poo, right? 50 is the AFL norm. You break even. You win as much as you lose, and that's reflected in the forwards. And the good forwards will be in the 60s, 70s. The average forward is about 30, 40. So this is, again, a real good teamwork from Weitering. And I want you just to think about, only last year we had these rumours, didn't we, that Weitering had gone to Voss and said, if Lewis Young's in the team, I want to trade. Do you know what I mean? Young owes me money. Like, I can't remember the rumours. He cheats at Trivial Pursuit. He always wants to be the banker. Like, you know how the rumours start at this football club. Do you know what I mean? Tell me I have no friends, so I've got to make up a rumour to look relevant. But this would say to me, it proves that false, because these two had to rely on each other. And if you go back and watch the latter of the third quarter, Weitering, really the adrenaline started to go and he was moving like a truck. And Young was hauling ass. There's a few times where he's hauled off his man, and where that red circle is, he's ran from one end, one width to the other to help Weitering out. So real good teamwork for them too. And you know what? Them type of games create that synergy, because I think that's what they lack. That's what they lack, the synergy.
Yeah. Well, look, the reality is this. We are likely to be without, I mean, McGovern's a 1 to 2 week prospect. Marchie's not anywhere near playing from what I believe. We need Lewis Young. We need him to play a role, and we needed him more than ever when Weitering got hurt. And when his confidence comes back, where he starts taking marks and moving, in the air with force, it's going to be a really special day. I hope he finds that form again. I hope he finds that breakthrough in his game and figures it out, because the reality is he's at a really nice age for what he does in the game. He's 25 years old, and he's got attributes. So when he uses them to his advantage, it helps.
Spot on, mate. Spot on. He can't be. I mean, this is what I'd expect from a back like him.
Yep.
There's more backs like Lewis Young in the AFL than Jacob Weitering. So sometimes when you're doing this rating, just think, not everyone is AA grade. 90% of the, you know what? Faz and me had this conversation last night, actually, just chatting. And he said, when did average become a bad thing?
Yeah.
And being AFL average means you're the 1% of the world. You are in professional sport. You are superior to 99% of the people that walk on the planet. So being AFL average is fucking very good.
Very
you know
good.
What I mean? Very good. So yeah, this is it. And his role was Jacob Weitering's this week, just to let you know. Mm-hmm. Switch.
There you go.
So that's basically what a standard Jacob Weitering would be.
Well done, Lewis Young. He got a 6 for the week.
Good chin on him as well, eh? Chiseled the looks.
Zack Williams. There was a little bit of noise before the game that he would be laid out. It was going through the forums. It was getting around. Apparently he was sore. I thought he obviously got subbed out, got a knock to his Achilles, is what they said. And I think Vossi mentioned a corky in his post-game presser. But I thought Zack, he just continues to show glimpses of his best. And in this game, it was a bit more lockdown, I thought, because of what he was doing on Toby Green. Yeah,
so he played over 40% of the game time, which means he doesn't get his score adjusted as well. So unlucky, Zack. We have a little cut-off. As for the rumours, I mean, we remember what happened during the war. If you revealed intel from the Allies, some bad things happened to you if you were a grass. And I'm a firm believer that we should have punishments in society for being a grass. When you claim you love the club,
snitches get stitches, mate. What happened to that?
Do you know what I mean? You're talking to a man that was brought up on a council estate in his Romany. So, people who grass, no time for it. But, I mean, let's look at his numbers for 40% of the game. So, 11 defensive half pressure acts for a player that's playing high halfback, incredibly good. 4 ground ball gets. So, traditionally, right, I want you to think players that play this role, Harry Sheasel, Nick Dacos, right? And what's the big complaint about Nick Dacos? Oh, Nick Dacos, he doesn't get hard ball. Right. Well, if you subscribe to that, well, getting 4 ground ball gets is pretty impressive. 202 meters. So this game here, we're looking here just based on 40%, 10. Just so you know, as it started, 10. Bona fide 10. You're looking at Sheasel, Dacos. These guys score 9 and 10 out of this. He had the Sard roll, and it was interesting. The bloke who had the Sard roll got injured, and the Blues had to fabricate it. And we'll find out the man who took on that job in a minute. But very good game. And you can see there, look, the token Sard possessions just outside of midfield because of our high defensive line. Some of them possessions as well. He was 100% from them possessions, just so you know. So midfield Zack. Zack. Yeah.
It's just got to chip away. Just got to get to, 10 games, 10 consecutive games under his belt. And I really do feel like if we can manage him and he can get his body right and recover well and do all the little extras that it takes to stay on the park, he's going to be a really important player at the pointy end of the year. Should we make it?
I agree with Petra as well. It's nice to see someone with some tattoos.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, Zachy Williams, I am not sure if there is a rating here. So, we'll just keep talking about him.
I
Basically,
hate it when I literally waited 6 minutes after they uploaded and they were all there. I swear they delete at the end of it. Yeah.
there it is. There it is. A 6 for Zack Williams in 40%
Impressive,
game
40%. So that's based on 100%. Let that think in, chat.
Yep.
Based on 100%.
Very good. Okay. Next up. Oh, Brodie, mate. It's growing up before our very eyes, young Kempy.
Okay, so you wanted someone to be sad, right? And a few people asked me this, right? What changed it round? A big part of the turnaround, and he won't get the credit, I don't think, is this guy here. This guy became Adam Sard. So it's interesting. Lachie Cowan went to the intercept defender's position, which was Mitch McGovern's role. Weitering became the traditional Young. Young became Weitering, and Kemp became Sard in the second half, charged with getting out of the half-back line. And it's interesting this week, too, Carlton changed their dynamic, and the right wing was the attacking wing, right? And that was partly to get rid of Jacob Weir's influence, who ran 16.4 kilometres. And you remember last week we talked about Saligo, right? Yep. Looking very good. This week, Carlton did the opposite. They went to the dangerous Callum Brown. They went to, and they said, you know what, we're going to fight fire with fire. And it was interesting. The two people that are the most targeted of our club from the opposition coaches, this guy and Hollands, were suddenly thrown into the furnace. And Vossi said, you know what, let's fucking go back at them with you guys. And they did incredibly well. Look at these numbers here. 5 intercept possessions, that's tied second. That's something that we see from Sard. Contested ground ball gets. We noticed this last week. His work on small players is incredible. Is incredible for his size. 5 tackles, leading the way in the back line and having very good 264 metres. And ironically, if he played the whole game at high halfback, we would have seen 590 metres gained based on his possessions, which would have been elite. So, and look at his map. Look at his maps. See there, defensively brilliant, role brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Carlton might have accidentally found Tom Stewart, because Tom Stewart plays the Sard role, but he plays it big.
Yeah, and I don't want injuries, but sometimes injuries create opportunity, and you find out things when you are forced to try them. And the reality is, when Sard and McGovern are in the side, and you know we're relatively healthy back there, and everyone's playing, you just don't get to see Kemp play in this way for the most part because the role just changes. So I think now we use this game as another. He's had a few like it where we've relied on him and he's played a really mature game. Got to remember, he's 22 years old. He's like still a pup. He's 22. He plays beyond his years.
But why isn't he Kate? Why isn't he Tom Stewart? Why is he not having 35? But no, Brods, if you're watching, mate, I know you're a big Basties fan, mate. Phenomenal game and spot on. Like Alex says there, we wouldn't have Chinkora on the list. We wouldn't have Mahomey, right? If it wasn't for Zack Williams doing an ACL. Opportunity breeds success, and it's great to see Kemp, because without Kemp being one of the shit kickers and eating dirt sandwiches for 2 years while he got onto this list, he wouldn't have been trusted with the position at high halfback, and he wouldn't have excelled, because you can see now he's done the groundwork. And that contested ground ball gets, honestly, insane for a player of his fundamentals. Insane. So, fantastic game from Kempy, and I'm really excited about where this can go, because I do think Carlton are one-dimensional in the back line, right? Because everyone does the same job and it's ironed in. I think the rotations may see when teams have a plan for us, that plan isn't very good. And that's what won us this game. Them rotations down the back played havoc with their system.
Very good. A 7 for Kemp as we move along. We move along to Jordan Boyd. Wow, he's really lit up that back half, hasn't he? That's a very interesting heat map.
So when Zack Williams isn't able to do Zack Williams things, we've got a guy here. So again, 5 intercept possessions, exactly like Adam Sard. right? So no Sard, someone had to break this role. So we had no McGovern, no Sard, always our highest intercepts in the back half. Someone had to do it. And they fabricated this by giving him the Zack Williams job. And you can see there it affected his meters gained because his job was to turn over the possessions, keep the ball retention. And then he was given a job on a certain Mr. Toby Green, right? And you can see here, we don't often see this from Jordan Boyd, his defense actually through the charts because he's destroyed one of the most dangerous forwards in the league.
Yeah.
Ground gets really strong. Score launch is interesting that I wanted to highlight that even though he played 100% defensive role and it was a ball retention, he also managed to create stuff out of that as well, which is very hard to do. So Jordan Boyd, again, a man who's growing in stature, who 5 years ago was playing VFL football when no one cared about him, to now he's coming in and he's got the job on the best, biggest, smallest, dangerousest forward. And he's been given the job to eat him alive, and he did. So credit to him. Great game.
Really is a remarkable game when you think about it. I mean, Zack Williams is a very mature, is a really good player, and he knows Toby Green's game very well. If you're Toby Green at halftime, you're relieved somewhat because you're thinking, all right, I can just reset here and go again. Toby Green is a great player. There's no doubt about it. A few things. So for Boyd to have a role going into the game, play it for a half, and then have to switch up his mentality and play that new role for the team and shut down Toby, that's one thing. Then there's actually getting the job done and getting under Toby's skin. And I think, taking the mark, jumping with the flight of the ball and copping one in the head just probably solidifies that whole experience for Boydie. Something about him, man. Every time he plays, like I feel like I say it every week. Every time he plays, he just keeps growing. But it seems like it's not so incremental. It seems really significant each time he plays, how much more I appreciate his game and what he's able to do.
Spot on. And I mean, you've got to remember as well, 86% of the game time he played, right? 86%. So he was on the ground pretty much the entire game, as it were. Toby Green was on 94, right? Do you know what I mean? 94, right, percent of the time. So think of it from Jordan's point of view. I want you to put in the mindset of what the algorithm's telling us. It's deduced that this guy is playing a stopping role. So for 95% of that role, he was defending, and then he had 5% freedom. So he only played 5% of game time without Toby Green on the park. So usually the maximum score you'd see there is actually someone like Chincotta, 6.5. That's probably real high, top end line. So anything over 6.5 here is the equivalent of a 10 because obviously his attacking stats, he's going to get fuck all.
Yeah.
And let's see.
The man knows about life. He just loves a good boogie. I trust a man that knows a good boogie over a man that doesn't.
Mate, incredible game. Incredible game.
Mm-hmm. A 7. We love it. 6s and 7s, mate. Give me 6s and 7s with 23 players, and I'm a happy man. That's what we're after.
And 7 doing that role is like an 11.
Yeah.
So, like, when you're not allowed to go hard with the ball, like, he was way down on his attacking. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, we've not seen him score them defense. Scored a solid 10 for his role and scored a 10 for his defense. So, I mean, this is a new string to his bow as well. Yeah. It's something that we probably don't know him for.
Well, yeah, we add that now to what he can do. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Nick Newman, you just knew that with the injuries last week, he would, I think we might have spoken about it in the ratings, but you just had a feeling that he plays a team game, and when he needs to play more of a role and get more of the ball and do more, he can. And this was great from him.
And great comment by Cadrick. I've got a spot on. Sard, Newman are the guys that we know Voss turns to. And this week, we needed an attacking threat. Nick Newman got that attacking threat. So Nick Newman, and this is a credit to Nick Newman because leading the team in intercepts, leading the team in defensive half pressure acts, leading the back line in tackles, leading the back line in meters gained. This guy, again, just proving that he is literally the benchmark of any defender coming into this club, looks at this guy and goes, right, okay, cool. And I think an understated game, I've hardly heard anyone talk about Nick Newman. But Nick Newman had to play high, had to play small. Enzo's comment, he does remind me of Cade Simpson, just quietly goes about his work, that eventually you expect him to be 10 out of 10. And you just ignore it. Do you know what I mean? You ignore it and you get excited when one of the lesser names does it, but you kind of just take it for granted. Incredible game from Nick Newman. He was absolutely brilliant. And again, look, real solid numbers, real top out numbers, strong defensive numbers, and got Carlton out of the shit. Particularly in the first half, he was our highest ranked defender.
Interesting. Well, Nick Newman, a 7.5.
So remember last week we had lots of 4s, 5s in the back line?
Yeah, I'm noticing a really consistent rating across the board so far.
And you're looking for teams. You're looking for team defense. We play a team defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you want them team to all be about the same. So really good performance from the boys.
Yeah. All right, next up, Ollie Hollands. There it was. You just knew if he chipped away, you knew that a breakthrough would come, and it came.
Yeah, and Voss this week gave him the faith. He was like, right, okay, tell you what we'll do. We will attack their side. We'll attack their right-hand side, see how they like it. And he made the bold call of putting Brodie Kemp and Ollie Hollands there. The two guys that get targeted every week by the opposition because they deem it the weak link, which is logical. Again, second best runner at the club this week again, 14.8 Ks. But this week we're starting to see it. The meters gained. The getting involved in the play. Took his goal brilliantly. And this is above average wing performance. So I need people to let this sink in. Wingmen are a weird position because genuinely we see touches very quickly. So probably within a year, we see them get the same disposals as each other. It's then the characteristics that build. Probably quicker to get the core stats quicker than anywhere else from the wing. The hard bit is the things he's mastered. The kilometres, the actual ability to run out the game, he's already top 3 in the league for that. The other bit is learning their set roles. And Carlton here have started to see him really have the confidence. This was a really good game. And it's great to see because, trust me, I know for facts, not many work harder at their craft than this young gentleman here. Not many work harder.
Yeah. I mean, his base level is his running ability and his defensive application. When the body fills out and he gets more games under his belt, the experience factor will come in. I think you're just looking at like a Matt Cottrell situation where you just invest the time into him because he's worth it because he applies himself on the right side of the ball on both ends. That goal he kicked, 3:42 to go in the second quarter. We were, let's be honest, we're being dominated. It looked a little bit too hard for us in that moment. I was sitting on level 2, right on the wing. I watched him make that sprint from D50 all the way to forward 50, get on the end of that ball. I turned to Steph and I said, I wouldn't be surprised if he misses this because of that. Like, he's run so hard to get there. Such an important moment for him and for us. And, after that, we then got the Tom de Koning goal from the spillage. But yeah, definitely worth investing games into because of the way he applies himself. And I'm glad he got some reward.
Mate, Bugsbell nails it. So often we talk about it in the watch along, and I try and bring it to people's attention. When the defense, when we turn it over and we win the ball back, 9 times out of 10, you can guarantee this guy will be back inside 50. That is incredibly hard, man. Incredibly hard. To use a tennis analogy, if you watch Blake Acres, he's like Roger Federer. Everything he does looks effortless. It looks effortless, even when he's chasing down, gone cross court, chasing balls. It looks effortless. It's like ballet. Yeah. This guy's like Nadal. He looks fucking like he's working overtime. You get tired watching him. But I tell you what, that deserves credit in itself. And I'm a big, big fan. And I was so proud of him. Honestly, I had a bit of a tear in my eye when he kicked that goal. Because, trust me, he's copped it. And, Jesus, he's a second-year player. You know what I mean?
Mate,
He's a second-year player playing one of the
20 years
hardest
old.
roles in the league.
He's 20 years old. And he's 20 years old for the rest of this year. In January was his birthday. So still so young.
I love the little bromance. I know the brothers, but isn't it cute as well when Elijah kicks a goal or Ollie? The first one there is the other brother. You know what I mean?
They get around it.
And it did make me laugh that Elijah went Cocoa Bananas. You just knew, didn't you, that once Ollie had the goal, Elijah was like, "Gotta show this kid brother, haven't I?"
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A 7 for young Ollie Hollands. Love to see it. Oh, let's get into it. Mate, where do you begin with this? Patrick Cripps.
Okay, for the first time ever, we had... So on the system we use, there's an error message that pops up, and the error message is genuinely when the pomagon doesn't want to be a pomagon and it starts to change shape. And it's because it's literally, even though we cap it to 10, when we put it through the system, it's actually 6 figures, which then gets reduced to 10. So it makes it easier for aesthetical purposes. But this guy here took the piss. Like 24 contested possessions. Take of that what you will. 7 tackles, 13 clearances, 11 score involvements. Patrick Cripps here is becoming the total complete player. And if you stay tuned tonight, we have a little sneak preview with Ian on Pommy Ponders from Navy Blue Corner. But we are actually talking about, is Patrick Cripps the best player in the league? Because there isn't any stats that tell you Bontempelli's better. Because Bontempelli's always been that. Patrick Cripps has become this. And I think, in my opinion, brewing yourself to be the best player in the league is a lot harder than being born with the gift. And Patrick Cripps has never been an aggressive footballer in the terms of an attacking footballer. He's always been good defensively. The question mark is, can he impact the other way? And Patrick Cripps, this is a massive, 2 massive things he's learned to do. 1, start being an attacking threat, but 2, being a team player as well, bringing other people in. And I'm telling you now, as good as Sam Walsh is, hand on my heart, with everything that is me on my kids' lives, I believe Sam Walsh wouldn't be as close to as good as he is if he didn't have this guy next to him, right?
Yeah.
Didn't have this guy next to him, right?
Cripps,
this guy here would be having to do it all himself, Walsh, without this guy. And we know what happened to Mark Murphy, an incredibly talented footballer, when he was left to do it himself. He burnt himself out. In fact, you've got a guy here who's willing to go toe-to-toe with the best players in the league every week, but also improve his game, also improve himself as a character to be a leader. Fuck me. What a player. Patrick Cripps, without a doubt, bookmark this, best player in the league, bar none. Like, honestly, keep your fucking Bonts, keep your Steels, keep your Harley Reeds. This guy is the best player.
There was a really telling quote that I liked reading this week from Cripps. He was talking about, having a baby around and playing for the family, and sort of for the honor of your family and representing your family. And obviously, he's just started to build his family, and there's something about the Giants that brings the best out of him. We spoke about it on the team show late last week. We went through the previous few matchups that he had played. Something about the Giants that brings the best out of him. I don't know if it's maybe the Tom Green matchup, and sort of like Tom Green is earmarked as the next coming of Patrick Cripps, and maybe it's his way of just getting himself up for making, just reminding everyone that he still rules the league in terms of being the big bodied midfielder. But yeah, that was one of his best.
Allow me, if I'm so bold, his presence in the midfield gives me the same visual as when I saw Mr. Chris Judd. When he first came here, and I didn't know anything about the game, but I could just tell the fucker was good, right? Because he carried himself. It felt like the seas parted. I'm seeing that in Cripps. When he gets the ball, this is his time. No one's on his level. And seeing how Walsh played this week, which was a total different role, and we saw Chris get the we saw Cripper get the hard job again, and Hewett being the dog's body. That's the midfield 3 when it looks really sexy. Like, honestly, Cripps, one of my mates in the UK, I haven't scientifically tested this, but he's adamant, but he works in soccer. He says that there is massive psychological research into when players have babies, they lose aggression, but they gain execution. So what he meant by that is they're not as physical and they're not as dangerous because they're also protecting themselves a little bit, but they become more ruthlessly efficient at what they do. So they're not as dangerous and noticeable, but they're really effective. Starting to see that in Cripps. I'll tell you what, every time Cripps gets the ball, something happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. Magical game. No surprise here. That's a 10.
Well, that it's just flying. And guess what? No asterisks. You know what that means, chat.
Oh.
There's someone else around. He can't be top if he can't be top if he hasn't got the asterisks.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's see where that one comes from. Blake Acres. Wow. I don't think I've seen a player make the field look yellow like him week to week.
He gets bored, doesn't he, Blake Acres?
Yeah.
To be honest, like I'm pretty sure it's boredom. It's like, yeah, I've been here for 10 minutes. I better have a mosey down there for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And this is what annoys me with the Hollands issue. Not everyone is this guy. This guy here is, I don't know how. When I saw him at Fremantle, I was really excited when he came here because I was like, you've got a proper winger. You've got a guy that is like a 7 out of 10 as a wingman. And then he's come to Carlton and he's like, you know what? I ain't a 7 out of 10, Pommy. I'm a 9. I'm a solid 10, baby. And look at this, 20 pressure acts. And notice this, doing the Ollie Hollands role on the left wing. He got the dog's body work. And this kind of works for the pair of them because it allowed Hollands to be a bit more free. And you know, an interesting fact as well about Mr. Our friend in the north is his disposal efficiency this week as well. Not too shabby, old Blake Acres. I tell you, he was pretty accurate this week.
Oh yeah,
88%.
Wow, that's the big knock on him, isn't it?
Well, I mean, evidently. I mean, it's quite hard when you're running fucking 14 kilometers at full speed to constantly hit a target. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. I mean, you try doing it running for a bus. Do you know what I mean?
True. Well, Blake Acres was awarded with an 8 for his game.
And the only thing that knocked him from getting a 10 was Mr. Jacob Weir.
Uh-huh.
Because he had good numbers.
Okay. Who's next? Elijah. How'd you see his game? He took his moments, I thought. I thought when they arrived, he took them.
Elijah, right? Elijah is he's Brazilian. The Brazilian, this guy. Do you know what I mean? He's now just EH20. Yeah. I don't want to hear it anymore. This guy is something special. Now, for a player who plays this role, like high halfback playing in the midfield, finally got the Cunningham role out of him. You can see the difference here as well from him and Cunningham. This guy is everywhere and also executing the other end. Real strong, getting the game moving forward. Was a big turning point in the back end of that second quarter from Carlton taking the game back and wrestling it because he wasn't pissing about. He was looking to get the ball forward. Strong in the ground ball, strong with goals, strong defensively as well. A real solid. And you'll see here that his role has slipped. So it's not a 10, which you would imagine it would be a 10. The reason that is because he's actually confused the algorithm because genuinely this guy is doing 2 jobs as one player. So the algorithm is like, okay, for a role rating, you're kind of like a hybrid utility. You're doing everything. But as you can see by the other spurges, that means he's killed it. So real interesting little quirk of the algorithm there that it can't pigeonhole him. He's just done it. He's every job you can possibly do good. Right.
Okay. Well, Elijah got an 8. Yeah, that's big time. That's a tough position.
Look at him. And he just want to fucking squish his cheeks.
Telling you, man, he's going to shave the head soon and it's all complete.
I'm a big fan honestly, I've got a lot of tickets in the Hollands boys.
Yeah.
Every time I see Elijah playing, I just want to fucking buy more.
You can see it even when Ollie hit him up on the lead. Like that brother connection, you can't quantify it. Charlie and Ed had it. They had an ability to know exactly where to kick the ball to the other's advantage, and Ollie and Elijah have it as well. And I think where Elijah will get better is when he completely gels with his teammates and they know his body pattern and his movements, and that's when I think we'll see the best of him in the team.
There's only 3 players as well who can do what he can do in the terms of they've got that flat kick. Walsh has that real like chest high kick that just fucking gets there in a blink of an eye. Lidge has it. And also a certain Mr. Pom Cotter has it. If you watch the VFL, because that kick does my head in, that little dribbly nonsense that Carlton still have. I'm sure Voss has only kept that to piss me off in the watch-alongs. I don't see any other reason. But when these guys deliver it inside 50, it's like chest high. Bang, it's there. Beautiful. And, oh, God, it's great to see him. And he's getting some confidence, his old Lidge. He's getting some confidence.
I'm keen to watch him at the MCG. I think he's.
You know who I can't wait to see him? Him versus Maynard.
Yep.
When they swap Maynard half back to try and stop a dangerous half forward, can't wait for this guy to skin the guy alive. Because he's like his brother. He likes a dust up, does that kid? He likes a dust up.
Yeah. All right. Matty Cottrell. This will be interesting. So keep in mind, everyone, when you look at the heat maps, we are kicking to your right of screen.
Yeah, left to right. You're kicking away from us. We're the back pockets, me and Terry. This guy here, right, I want to give a shout out, right? So I think Voss has found the right idea for me. High half forward, Cottrell, right-hand side. Right wing, Ollie Hollands. Half back, right, Mr. Nick Newman. I think it allows Mr. Ollie to be a little bit more aggressive and not get so bogged down. And I think Blake Acres is more than mature enough to play both roles, which he showed this week. This guy here, 2 tackles inside 50. You are talking about the perfect. If you want a perfect high halfbacks game, hello, Mr. Ginger from Dandenong, Matty Cottrell. 15 kilometers ran, insane. 23 pressure acts, leader on the ground, insane. Goal, insane itself, but 2 tackles inside 50. This guy here, man, honestly, like, you've got to remember, he was Ollie Hollands 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, he don't get the ball. Oh, he fucking...
Can't win a premiership with a guy like Matt Cottrell in your team.
Why can't we have Lachie O'Brien in the team? Oh, Lachie should play. He got 18 in VFL. And then something happened to Matt Cottrell. That Sydney game, he came on a sub and he suddenly turned into Superman. And he never left back. Now he's turning into a proper half forward. And at the start of the year, Cunningham would be a shoehorn high half forward. Shoehorned in. There is no way on God's green earth Cunningham can get past, on form at the moment, Cottrell and Hollands. Even if Cunningham hits his ceiling, these guys are ahead. Because the defensive work Elijah and this guy do is insane. Like, you had a Jack Martin or a Jack Martin type into this forward line, and Carlton have just found the 2 half forwards they need. Absolutely insane work rate from Cotters. Cottrell and Hollands, they're animals.
Yeah, Cottrell in transition, lowering the eyes, hitting up a target on the lead. I'm sure we'll talk about that towards the end and even more so in the BA show. But to see us lowering the eyes and hitting targets leading at the football was really pleasing. And I think with Cottrell, I don't know when it happened. I think it's this year. I think 2024 will be the year when we talk about him in 5 years' time, where we say, when did his body get to a point where he could stand up through the tackle? I saw it happen multiple times in this game, where he absorbed a tackle, didn't panic because he's strong now. And you can see he's got confidence in his body and that strength through the hips. Some point, maybe last year or this year, I think the strength in his body layer to his game has been added. And mate, good luck. Good luck stopping him. Away he goes.
There was 7 tackles inside 50 that he didn't enact. 7 others, right? And everyone, the first person that ruffles their feathers and says, well done, is this guy as well. Yeah. And that's an underrated state because he prides himself on it as well. He prides himself. So he's a real team player. And it's so important to have people like us out there as well. I think people forget that. Like, it means something to this guy. You can see the way when Connor Iden started to try and get away from him, he had that wonderful shepherd as well. When Connor Iden does the little cheeky handball and then runs past him, and Cotters is working his ass off to keep him out of bounds. You can see he prides himself on that. And when players draw the line and say, not today, not today, you ain't beating me. You can beat my mate, but you ain't beating me. Incredible. And honestly, real underrated, Cotters. Real underrated. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. I love the Cott dog.
You could see when he kicked these goals as well, because against Adelaide last week, he probably just rushed a couple of those opportunities, particularly on his left. But he took his goal, took 0.7 more seconds just to get himself balanced and put it through. It's great. Love
you can see the maturity. You can see the leadership growing in him as well. The maturity, like the sense of belonging, is really important. Matt Gondolfo, fantastic comment. There's Ed Curnow qualities in him. He's starting to become a leader. He's starting to, real important. Every male, and I'm only using this because I'm a man. I'm not being sexist, but I feel like the most important thing for a man is place and acceptance. Once you know your place and you accept your place, that's when greatness ensues. When you understand that and you value it. And I feel like he just values that now. He knows he belongs. He knows he's accepted. So now he can flourish. 9, mate.
9. Well done.
And that's why he's got the song, Give Me a Ginger from Dandenong, mate. I tell you, absolutely adore the kid.
Well done, Matty Cottrell. All right, next up, Orazio Fantasia. Yeah.
This is a really tough one. So, So I've got it on really good authority. I can't reveal my source, but I've got it on really good authority that the role that he's playing at the club is almost, they call it the fifth man up around the mids. So it's around the stoppages to be a point of difference, right? And you can see this happen because he gets the pressure acts and he's putting a lot of pressure on, which is really good. But this is where I get a little bit confused with him. In the fourth quarter, he had them wonderful passage of play where that really worked. He hit the targets. He set us up from defense to attack. And you watch his highlight reel. It's really deceiving. If you watch his highlight reel, go on AFL Stats Pro on your phone and just click Fantasia and it'll have all the moments. 3-minute 50 video. It's FAP worthy, honestly. It's porn for the eyes. But then you break it back and you watch the game over 2 hours and you're like, it's 3 minutes 50 though of a 2-hour game. Do you know what I mean? And this is where it's really awkward because I don't want to get on top of Fantasia. I don't want to have a go at him because there is no doubt this guy's got class. Yeah. This guy can change the game. But my question is, if Montlock was playing, if there was someone else fit, would this fly? Because that Montlock in VFL, when he played around stoppages, was chef's kiss. So I could see that's definitely a role for the club. It's just not going. And like, there's the argument he needs to find the ball, the Ollie Hollands argument. But yeah, it's not great, is it? God bless him. Let's be honest. It's not what I'd expect. If he was 20 years old, I'd be like, get off him. He's 28, 29. Like, I'm really expecting this guy to be a pole bearer, the standard bearer of the forward line.
There are 3 or 4 moments I find in every single game he's played where I'm like, oh my God, that was elite, what he just did.
Yeah.
You know? And then, I find it really hard to watch his game and know what I'm watching. Because it's really clear through looking at the heat map that he's not playing the role that we had pictured him playing. And I don't know if that's just because we don't have a Jack Martin in the team or whatever the case may be, or maybe we're just trying to clear out the 50 for Harry and Charlie. What I did notice this week, and it's pretty common, it's not what I'm about to say is not a revelation, but the ball, we struggle at times. We have patches through games where we just struggle to lock the ball in our 50 when we bring the ball to ground. And that's where I pictured Fantasia doing his best work, reading the drop of the ball. But he's playing so high up the ground that it's just not a factor right now. It's just an unknown. I don't know.
You You know what? I went back and watched his game, so because I wanted to come into this and not like lambast the guy, like try and get something out. And there is so many times, like you say, Terry, if it doesn't get taken in the aerial grab, he's out the back. It's a goal. So it's one of them games where I always say to you, you can't count if onlys, right? Yep. You can't count it. You've got to count what you know. But there is an element, just say, if only that happened, we could be talking about a 4-goal game. But I feel like at the moment, when I watch Durdin and I watch Motlop even, and I watch Owies, they're not contributing on the goal sheet. They're giving us something else. And at the moment, it just feels like he's running around a lot, but not getting the reward. And I agree, hard work bears fruit. But I want to see Motlop fit, because I feel like if Motlop's in there kicking 2 goals in the VFL, he's having a bit of problems. Do you know what I mean? The questions will start being asked. At this moment, there isn't the fire coming from beneath.
Do you know what's going to happen? I can see it. Motlop will be ready in 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it is. And the week that Motlop's ready, Orazio kicks 6.
Good. Good.
You know?
I do feel he needs a little bit of comp at the moment. And it's interesting. I agree with Davey as well. Davey saying he's still acclimatized. And obviously, he's got to get used to a different style. We're totally different to that. But
for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting when Fogg is back, how that looks as well. Because you can't play them all.
No, that's right. Well, for Raz, it was a 4. So could be this week. You just know he's a week away from the click. Hopefully it's this week.
Mate.
Okay.
Mate,
wow. What is going on here? Harry McKay. This is a fascinating heat map.
So on the forward line, so Carlton really did their research. And I said it in my review. I know everyone gets their willies hard for GWS. I don't know why. Maybe it's the orange. Maybe it's because they're a new team. Maybe it's because they've got a shit song that sounds like it's from a kid's TV show. But I don't know what it is. But one thing that I question about this side is that they're really pretty and they look really good. But you know what? When they're really tested, I question it. And Carlton looked at their backline and says, right, what we're going to do is we're going to try and isolate our big boys. And then they slotted TDK down there as well and said, we're going to give you a little bit. We're going to give you a little bit. See what you're doing. They really did spread really well. 3 marks inside 50s, 3 goals, 3 marks on the lead. Really key as well, because he was leading from the deep. They did switch Harry and Charlie as well in the second, which really showed Harry's ability to lead from deep. And the tackle, 1 tackle inside 50. And again, real solid game.
Yep.
Real solid game from the young lad.
Yeah. Took his moments when he needed to. Played a bit more of a... I actually liked the battle between he and Lee Kalir. I like to watch it. Although I don't think I've seen a Harry McKay heat map look like this before.
Working hard, man. Working hard.
Yeah.
Like, people forget Harry works really hard. And I feel like Charlie cops abuse, because I saw someone the other day say to me that Charlie's not defensive, but he ranks as a defensive forward above Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins, Tex Walker, like other forwards. And you've got to remember, Charlie is the primary forward. So the primary forward plays the same position. So defensively, what he's doing is abnormal. Do you know what I mean? Defensively, what Harry does is abnormal. It's a bit like Oliver cops the shit that Kazakers does so much that when you actually isolate them, they're actually doing a good job. Incredible by Harry. He plays to his strengths. And Lee Kalir, honestly, you know what? Shout out Lee Kalir, because I watched him a lot at the draft. One of my favorites from that draft. I have never, honestly, go back and watch him when he came into the draft. He was built like Domaku, right? And then you look at him now, Jesus, he is filled out. Like, you look at the legs, he's still got the skinny beanpole legs, but that frame now is big, bro. So tough little fucking matchup, that one for him.
Very, very true. Harry, 8.5. Very good game from the Has. And then we get to Charlie. a proper full forwards game. Look at the opportunities generated. Look at where the scoring shots came from. This is not something we're accustomed to seeing with our forwards. And I think in general, where the quality of the shots on goal that we had was better than what we've seen for the most part. Charlie,
working hard, so hard. Charles does, and I feel like people need to respect Charlie a bit more. Like, this guy is phenomenal. Like, there isn't many players that teams have on their list that you could name any player of theirs and they'd instantly give you. Charlie's in that bracket. Do you know what I mean? If you offer Charlie, everything's available.
Yeah.
Everything's available. The conversation starts when you say, I will give you Charlie. They open their little thing and go, who do you want? And this guy's supreme, works really hard. And I want to highlight this, the pressure acts, right? So people always say Charlie doesn't get it. Yes, there is an element of frustration where he doesn't do the second and third efforts every week. But who does Voss turn to, right? Down the back when Carlton are struggling to take marks? This guy.
Yeah.
Right? Why do you think that is? Because this guy works hard. He does work hard. He does the team thing. And not many forwards dish it off like Charlie. There was a few moments. One of Durdin's goals this week, Charlie could have picked that up and kicked it. He shepherded for him, which is big. And you know, Charlie you get paid back. When you do the team thing, my pop used to say in soccer when I was a forward, if you do the things benefiting your team, you'll get rewarded.
Yeah, the game rewards you. It's no doubt.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Eventually, you'll get the tap in. Eventually, you'll be blessed. 7 marks, leader on the ground, marks inside 50, leader on the ground. And no one talks about this key facet. Harry has worked incredibly hard on learning to be Charlie and be quick and nimble and mobile. And Charlie has worked incredibly hard at being contested and working one-on-one, which was his weakness before. He used to dine out on beating them with pace. Now he's comfortable to stay in that pack and take the mark. And he takes a lot of their marks now one-handed in the pack. So credit for him. We know I love Charlie, though. I'm not biased. I love Harry and Charlie. I can't split them, but
there's something about Charlie at the moment where he's having 5 to 7, I think 7 shots on goal in the last 2 weeks each. And you feel like he could still be more accurate. When it all comes together, there's a 12-goal game coming. There's like a complete blowout game coming. I'm hoping it's this week in the shootout with Jeremy Cameron or sometime over the next few weeks. But it seems like his game is coming in a quarter. And then once he gets going, away he goes. And he's figuring that out. And the other thing as well, didn't hear a single thing about Charlie Curnow this week in the context of he didn't get a single free kick this week. You wouldn't hear about it.
It's only AFL you hear free kicks being used as an excuse. Like no other sport. Every other sport, most people understand good players get fouled because it's hard to stop them. You know what I mean? This is an anomaly with AFL. Like every other sport, look at the great players. They get fouled a lot because they're hard to stop fairly. Do you know what I mean? If you don't get free kicks, my message to Collingwood fans, why doesn't Majacek get the free kicks Charlie does? Because he's shit. There's the answer. He's shit.
Because he's shit.
Do you know what I mean? I could defend Majacek. Play me a quarter, Majacek doesn't kick a goal. Play Charlie on me for a quarter, he kicks 50.
Yeah. No, he's coming along nicely, Charlie. He's ready to rip a game. He is ripping games open, don't get me wrong. But that first, I think he had 4 behinds in the second quarter. There's a special game coming.
You can tell Collingwood's coming soon.
Yeah, you can. You can tell. No, you know what it is? It's the MCG. That's what it is. Get Charlie back at the MCG under the lights. That's what it is.
Isn't it weird that Marvel, it's really weird. Marvel's like this anomaly because everyone says it's perfect conditions. There's no wind. It's bizarre that certain players struggle to kick there. Because I don't know if you ever sat high up at Marvel. There's like a mystery wind.
Yeah.
And everyone says I'm going crazy. But I swear, I can feel wind. Like, fucking, either I'm losing it, but I swear there's a swirl.
Yeah. Hey, 8.5 for Charlie. Man, I think we should take a moment to just appreciate that we've got another week with Harry and Charlie in the team. We're very blessed to have them both.
You know what? Just digressing to S&C. People complain about S&C a lot, right?
Oh, mate.
No, but I'm not going to get into that. You're entitled to your opinion. Like, you're wrong, but you're entitled to your opinion. Do you know what I mean? Some people think the earth is flat. Do you know what I mean? They walk amongst us, chap. They walk amongst us. But people forget 3 years ago, this guy, people were telling me would never walk again, would never play the game again, right? This guy hasn't missed a fucking game.
Yeah.
I mean, this, everyone was telling me 3 years ago when I had him as my profile and stuff, right? As my profile picture, you're never going to see him. He's going to be shit. The guy, the guy is tearing apart the league on the regular, right? Like, people were telling me Sam Walsh was dead 2 weeks ago. He's tearing the game up. Like, S&C, yes, injured players get injured, but you know what? Fair play. I mean, whoever looked after Charlie, thank you.
No, that wasn't S&C. No, that wasn't S&C. That was just Charlie. That had nothing to do with S&C.
It was Anthony's vinegar tasting wine.
It was the pool wines, mate. It had nothing to do with S&C. Oh, dear me.
Pool wine. Get the wines in.
All right, let's talk about Tom de Koning. Another one who's just... That's his best game when it comes to forward impact that we've seen from him. I think the Melbourne semi-final was the glimpse, and then this was a good one.
Do you know what I mean? Debbie asked a question. As we know, Debbie, what I love about Debbie is there's not many people in my world that like to tell me I'm wrong. So I embrace when people tell me I'm wrong. It's a good way of learning. So yes, you are correct. With the scores out of 10, you never get an asterisk if there's more than one of you, because obviously that's kind of taken away. Getting a 10 is hard. Kicking 3 goals, any idiot can do it. We've got 3 of them did it this week. So they'll get an asterisk for their individual stats, but they're out of 10. If someone shares it, we won't reveal that and we'll have a little bit of fun with it. So that answers your question, Dad. Hopefully you forgive me for that. 50% hit outs, incredible. 2 marks on the lead, 3 goals, 3 clearances, very good. What I wanted to give TDK credit for, and I'm going to give Voss and Hansen this credit, I bracket them together, is they finally found something and stuck with it. And that was they gave TDK the forward time. And when we see Pittonet, you're going to be actually shocked when you see his heat map. I had to double check it 3 times because I was like, fucking hell, there's too much colour. He actually swung back. And it kind of worked beautifully because there's going to be a job that Pittonet did, and it's a key learning. But TDK, incredible. And if you can see here, just envision the McKay and Curnow map. This guy stayed centrally. There's arched 1 left and 1 right. So suddenly you've got forwards doing this when they lead. Whoop, whoop. Got a T, the T of death. So TDK stayed central. And I think TDK working as a centre-half forward actually helped him as opposed to when we put him on the pockets. I felt that really helped him. And he was very good.
Yeah. Well, this was the game. Look, the reality is for Pitto and TDK to work, we need one of them, probably Tom, because he's got the attributes to impact forward of centre. Now, 3 goals won't happen every week. It just won't. And I think that's unreasonable to expect that it would. But this performance was one of the more balanced performances that we've seen from this group in terms of where we scored from. Complete dominance in the middle. Tom looked fresh every time he jumped for the football. And I can't help but feel like Pitto playing had something to do with it. And then we're going to play a clip in the Blue or Broad show at 7 p.m. tonight of Pitto's post-game comments. I think they are very telling. They love playing with each other. They get a kick out of it. It's really clear to see.
Mate, when I play with myself too, I get a kick out of it as well. But that's getting clipped. Damn, you promised. But yeah, serious TDK. I agree with you, Terry. And I think it was good this week that they had separate roles. Because I think, for me, my reservation with two rucks, and I know me and Petra and Bugsbell go back and forth about this quite a bit when we in the comment sections, is it's like, what do they do if they're not rucking? Where this week it was really clear what they were doing when they weren't rucking. And that is good. And I just feel like the only thing you've got to add if you do this, when you play maybe a quicker side and a side that works really, really quick, maybe an extra midfielder, if that's a Chincotta or a Carroll, when Carroll comes out, if that's a Chincotta or if that's a Chera, I think then it works. I think then you get that pace back as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed his game, mate. And it was good to see him because I felt Harry and Charlie feasted off it as well, because suddenly they were like, well, you can't all gang up on us. Easier.
Yeah. No, well, I think there's something to be said. Pitto can do what Tom can't do, and Tom can do what Pitto can't do just yet. They complement each other very well. And I think we've been clearly lacking that third forward presence. In this week, it was Tom. That's awesome. I think the other part to note, the narrative around Pitto can't play because we look slow, and to play the two rucks against arguably the quickest ball-moving team in the competition in the Giants on a quick deck, I think that said something. So
you know what I'm like with pace, Terry. I fucking hate the word. So
I hate it. I hate it. Leg speed is overrated. Speed. We need more speed. No, we need to use the ball more efficiently. That's what we need to do.
Sometimes when I hear about pace, I want to do speed. I was like,
oh my God. A 9 for Tom de Koning. Amazing. Yeah, that's a really strong score.
Bearing in mind, both rucks scored dire last week as well. So real good.
They did.
You'll notice this. Everyone that scored bad last week, aside from Fantasia, scored pretty well this week. So that shows learning too.
Who would have thought a little bit more time, things can improve? Who would have thought? A shock. A shock.
Yeah. Shock test.
Oh, come on now. Come on now.
Red. Yeah, Pittonet. Seeing Pittonet moving, you can see here, right? I think it was 72% behind the ball. And it's weird. No one ever does this with Pittonet. Like, we haven't done it. And it's something that stares you in the face. I think we've covered it a few times on this show. We've covered it certainly on reviews. Like, why don't we just play him behind the ball? Like, I know he doesn't move, but just put him somewhere out of the way. And one of the most interesting parts of his review, his work this week, and people forget this, is what happened last week that killed us, Tex Walker, and that annoying run from fullback, and he runs almost to the centre circle. Pittonet stood there. He actually won a free kick for it as well, because Taylor Walker ploughed into the back of him, right, in one of the marks. But it actually took that running a lane away, right? Quite often, TDK chased the ball hard, second effort. And this is a big thing here, the score launches. So score launches, when you speak to a ruck, a lot of people look at the clearance stats, and it's the most pointless stat, clearance acts, because it just basically means you've kicked it out of the centre or you've kicked it out of a stoppage, but it doesn't tell you if it got turned over and went back and kicked a goal. Score launches are him doing that and then becoming a score, right? So this is a more important stat. And again, elite, number one on the ground. Second efforts, really good. 41%, that's about where all the other ruckmen are. 7 clearances. And also, Jesus, we love a bit of fucking movement from the lads. Going?
Controversial opinion. I don't know if it's controversial. I know he had 17 possessions and people will get excited over that. I would take 7 possessions and exactly what he did at stoppage every day of the week. Because there's something... David King was talking about Carlton today, and he was saying the Blues, they were violent. And our identity as a group, for us to be a bully of a team, Pitto has to play because he is so strong. He was like a man possessed. There was a point to prove this week. And first game back last week, after some time out, you've got to remember he's had an interrupted so to speak, interrupted preseason. Everyone else is ahead of him. He's not a guy that just comes into games and he's at his best. Also, his body looks good. Doesn't have as much strapping on the knees as what he did late last year. The guy's a brute, and he makes us so much more of a powerful unit in the middle, and allows that space at stoppage to be there for Walsh and Cripps to do their thing. Wait till Chera's back in this team, mate. Oh my God.
Mate, spot on. And like I always say this, sometimes, you know what we said earlier about accepting what you are?
Yeah.
Right? Like, sometimes you've got to accept that Pittonet is big, he's cumbersome. He ain't Grundy. He ain't freaking Tim English.
Yeah. He's Pitto.
God made him to be big and awkward, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we can't change it. Right? So, you know what, as well, I'm just planning this because Gav asked so nicely, and Gav is one of the regulars. Here, look, Gav, I'm going to make you something here because, look, don't say I don't do anything for you, chat. I don't want to hear anyone say to me, content creators don't provide for their fans. Tell you, Jesus.
I like what you said there about, like, at some point, can we just want Pitto to be Pitto? Why does everyone have to be a superstar? I think that the criticism about Carlton in years gone by was we didn't have enough guys like this who just played their role and did their thing. Let the midfielders, which we have in abundance, do their thing. This guy has a role. Be physical, compete, create space for your midfielders, block for your midfielders, win the hitouts. And if the captain wants him there, the captain's going to get him there. There you go. There's the heat map. Let's talk about it.
There's them side by side. Look, so we got his score as well, 8.5. But look at the rucks there. I mean, that there is very reminiscent of when you see the good two ruck systems play. Like you've got a defined role from each of them. And I think Bugs Bell made a good point. Like, be who you like. Don't get him out of the forward line. Don't put him somewhere else. Like, that is a traditional ruck's work. He lived in that middle ground, and we started to see him be active, and that's what he does. And you know what? TDK's young. He's nimble. He runs. Like, play to your strengths, boys. And obviously, it's one game, right? And I understand it's one game, right? And James makes the great point as well. He blocks, and that's what he did quite a lot. But if he can put this together, there is no doubt we are a two-ruck system, right?
Yep.
Two-ruck system, we are. And if he can keep putting this together and stay fit, yeah, brilliant, man. Brilliant.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work every game. I think when it comes to finals, we need it to work. Because finals, the intensity lifts, the physicality lifts. And when you're playing in a physical game, that's when you want a Marc Pittonet in there.
You know what? When he took that mark as well, just in front of the defensive 50, the smile on his face.
Yeah. And the crowd. The crowd reacted well to it too, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like the smile on his face, it brought a little bit of it. I started to well up because, I mean, do you know what I mean? Like he copped it a bit, didn't he? Like, I'm not blaming anyone because, I mean, it's a passionate game. We get upset. I mean, fuck, yeah. I've mastered getting upset at this game. Do you know what I mean? I've retired from blue and broad more than I've come back. But do you know what I mean? But like the free marks, do you know what I mean? I felt like he was blamed last week.
Yes.
Like as if it was his fault. And I think Cripps proved the review I did last week right. It wasn't the running. It wasn't Pittonet. It was the fact we got lazy and just camped in our own defensive 50 for 10 minutes, which why Cripps this week bollocked the defence for doing it. We'd learned. So, you know what? Well done, Pitt. And I hope he continues it because, you know what? Let's be honest. We all want them all to succeed. We don't go into this game hoping any player fails.
Yeah. Well
Good
said.
to see. I like Pitt.
I love Pitt. Give me more. If I'm going to war, I want him next to me in the trenches. It's as simple as that.
Good banter as Pitt.
All right, let's move on. Mate, are you kidding me?
So if you remember, if you probably, I haven't got the stats in front of me, but if you probably do like who's got the highest average at this point, I'd say McKay would probably be close because he had like 3 10s in a row. Sam Walsh suddenly comes into the team and he's like, well, this is fucking easy, isn't it? I don't know what you mounts are doing. This is fairly easy, this game. Unbelievable. I mean, if Mitch Cleary is to believe, I mean, this guy was borderline Christopher Reeve 4 weeks ago. And he's come out, hasn't he? He's come out high. But look, 3 goal assists, 17 score involvements, ladies and gentlemen.
Mate,
like
17
score involvements. He
broke
I mean,
the algorithm, surely.
Mate, for a guy that was like freaking what? He was like Stephen Hawking, evidently, 4 weeks ago. 70 score involvements 4 weeks later. Pretty impressive, isn't it? But nothing he can't do. Good show there. Look, ground ball gets 8, insane clearances. And you know what? Just shout out Kane Corns. He was having the conversation that Connor Rosie is the best player in the world. Who's better? Should Carlton have taken him than Sam Walsh? Really impressed that Walsh managed to make it last 2 weeks until we could just draw a line under that conversation. Good of Walsh to have the pretend back injury for six weeks, just so we could have, so Kane could start the conversation, and then Walsh comes in and goes, "Nah, it's me, mate. It's me. Don't worry about it."
His first 2 games, he's like, look, it's a blessing, you could say. The way he's playing now, he's thinking his way through, and like he's like a surgeon. He's so methodical with what he's doing. He's obviously a very, very elite student of the game. He's going to get better. It's only 2 games in. He's going to keep going, which is really, really scary. And I think what you said earlier about having Cripps there as well. What we were robbed of back in the day was Murphy and Judd. When Murphy elevated, Judd was there, and 2011 happened, and Murphy had a great year, and it was like the 1-2 punch. We're sort of seeing it again with Cripps and Walsh.
Mate, spot on. You know, I was going to say that 2011 year, Judd, Murphy, this is it. Yeah. And I would say this is better. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? This is better. And then you've got a while, like, go back to that 2011 team and the midfield. There was some complete bobbins players helping that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got Chera. He would have been a walk-up start in that 2011 side. Hewett would have been a walk. I mean, we had Brock McLean, didn't we? So 2011, Hewett would have been better. Do you know what I mean? You take Hewett over Brock McLean. Oh, yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Phil O'Genie, come and see me after class. You get a special gold star.
Gold star on the board, mate.
Mate, spot on. But no, do you know what I mean? Like, this guy here, like, honestly, like, I was watching it and people talk about Kelly and people talk about Whitfield and everyone's like, oh, that midfield's the best in the league. Is he bollocks, man? Like, I watched that, and it's bollocks. There's no way anyone can honestly tell me GWS's midfield is anywhere close to Cowan. Do you know what I mean? It's nowhere near, because we didn't even have our best midfield and we absolutely decimated their midfield. Their midfield didn't have a prayer. Josh Kelly at the end was begging North Melbourne to come back into him. He was ringing Clarkson going, I'm sorry, baby, please take me back. Bring me over. I don't want to do this anymore. Like Tom Green, do you know what I mean? I didn't know if it was Tom Green, the footballer, or the comedian from the 90s. Cripps absolutely ate him alive.
Yeah. Well, Sam Walsh, no surprise, a 10. A remarkable game.
Well done, Stephen Hawking.
Well, I'm having way too much fun. We have to get a wriggle on. We've got 11 minutes to go. Walsh is the Terminator. Nothing can stop him. Jimmy Raptus, who's been a member of the channel for 9 months now. Amazing. Thank you. And Sandy Falcone, 1 year member. How good. Great show, gents. Sandy. Yeah, love Sandy. Love Sandy. All right, we're going to have to get a wriggle on. Wow, having so much fun. All right. Matty Kennedy, Mr. 100. Wow, look at that big schlonk through the middle of the ground.
Mate, he absolutely, you could say he dicked the opposition. So you were looking for a Mitch McGovern, correct, weren't you? Right. And we struggled with that. So two players took this in turns, Cowan and Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And Kennedy slightly becoming a halfback, chat. Like, look at that, 333 metres gained, 3 tackles, 2 intercept marks. Was it Kennedy out there or was it Mitch McGovern? And 7 ground ball gets. You know what? It was great to see him get a lot of mid-time this week, but it was also good to see him really flourish in that back row. And I did shit myself a bit when Connor Brown went to him in the third, but Connor Brown did me a favour with him being half pom. He wasn't going to break my heart, and Kennedy ate him up. So good to see. Good game from Ken.
Yeah, I really like to see how much he means to the boys. I really enjoyed seeing, and the club. I liked it. It was pleasing.
Watch the interview. It was quite heartbreaking when he said, when you're religious, it's hard to find your people and you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
How he's embraced by the club.
Yeah.
And what I said earlier, all a man needs to do is find place.
Yeah.
Find place and acceptance.
I think we're about to see the best of Kennedy. I think the clicking has just happened. And yeah, there's
definitely
a lot of
borderline 22 for me, but I think you can't get him out of it now.
Yeah. Lachie Cowan, young fella. Look at him.
Look at him. Oh, tell you what, you heard about Lachie Cowan on this very channel first, and this is great. Yes. Not great we've got injuries. Great we've got injuries that allow him to come in and be who he is. Yeah. 6 intercept possessions, killed it. 272 metres gained, 3 ground ball gets, 3 marks. With Sard and McGovern out, Carlton averaged 53 metres more per player. So even though we've lost our leading metres gained, we've actually gained more metres because they've spread it. They've become a team. Lachie Cowan was phenomenal, especially this really aggressive role up a high half back. We talked about replacing McGovern. We genuinely see McGovern in them red areas at the top. So he took that on, and he was here in the Kelly Weir sector of the ground, which is a very tough part of the ground to beat. He attacked it, big booming kick on him. I think he hit the roof once with one of his clearances, didn't he?
Yeah, I'll just get this up, Pom. I'll get you to upload number 39. But there was a moment that I really enjoyed from Lachie Cowan, and that's when there were 2. The Jordan Boyd collision where he got into Toby Green, and then when was it? There was a passage of play. He spoiled the ball. Ball went to ground. He kept his feet. And I thought it was a really telling sign of his development. I went into this game just wanting to see, does he look more comfortable at the level this year than what he did last year? Because that's ultimately all you can really ask for with a guy like Lachie Cowan. He's so early in his story, and you just want to see improvement year on out. But if he's going to stay in the side, got no fear about that whatsoever. So,
mate, Tassie boys for life. There's a reason that Nick Austin, if you actually watch when he got rid of Stocker, he mentioned this guy by name.
There you go.
So good shout by whoever it was. Someone, Damien said Cowan reminds me of Stocker, but better. Good shout.
We're going to have to get speedy with this now. Let's go. George Hewett. Woof.
Most important player in the team. He allows Cripps to be Cripps and Walsh to be Walsh. Undroppable, 12 ground ball gets, strong contested possessions, pressure acts good. Still continues to make the weirdest pomagon in the world, but honestly, most important player in that midfield.
Yeah, he covers the ground a lot better than I've ever seen him cover the ground. Yeah, he did mention it in the interview that I did with him that he spent a lot of the off season running because of the wrist surgery. So,
very Forrest Gump of him.
7.5 for George. As we move on to Corey Durdin, he loves playing the Giants. That's his bunny.
Could have been James Rowe. Could have been Rowe.
Thank God it wasn't.
See what we said about Fantasia. Here, this is what I want to see from Fantasia. Okay, he hasn't got the goals. Let's just say the goals weren't there. But look, we've got the hard stuff. We've got the tackles inside 50. We've got the pressure acts. We've got the forward 50 ground ball gets. And then we've got the goals. Hard work equals reward. I feel like people are really harsh on Durdin. I think sometimes when I hear people talk about our small forwards, they've only ever watched Charlie Cameron play. And Charlie Cameron is a freak of nature. Not everyone else is Charlie Cameron. This is the most bog standard forwards game. Most other clubs, when a small forward kicks 2 goals, they're stroking in between their legs. Do you know what I mean? They're excited. Especially when you got 2 powers like we have up top. So great game from Durds. And I'm loving the ruthlessness when he kicks goals now. They're opportunist goals.
Yeah, you asked it. You said it a few weeks ago. He when you have an opportunity to take it, there was a rundown tackle. I don't think they've registered it as a tackle, but there was a rundown pressure act that he applied. I think it might have been in the 3rd quarter, which kept the momentum going. Those are the plays that get the crowd involved that I wanted to point out. So well done to Durds. It's coming along nicely. 7. That's what we'd love to see. Owies. How do we look at Matt Owies this week?
Now, again, we're used to this guy kicking 2 goals, but this week he didn't. He kicked the goal. But look again, tackles inside 50, elite. We saw that come back into the game. The forward 50 ground ball gets, he was a part of the pressure, which again, you've got to praise. If they're not kicking goals, they've got to do the other things. And at times, they get stuck in this mentality of, I'll do this, you do that. This was a team effort from Durds and Owies. Really strong game. And again, look at the Pomagon. Kind of the same, kind of a Pomagon, but did well.
Very good. That was a 6 for Matt Owies. And then finally, the sub, Jack Carroll, obviously coming on as the sub. Hard to grade this one.
Yeah, again, 40%, so he gets judged for the full game. Not great from him, though, was it? This was a tough one for me. I thought last week he showed some signs in the short space. It was a little bit fumbly, but he kind of was anonymous, and he came on at the best time. Like there was no issue. There was no issue. Like, the game was brilliant, wasn't it? To come on. Like, I would have loved to have come on then. And I felt like, I wanted him more involved. I felt an opportunity missed here, especially with Cotter being in the votes this week in the VFL. True. I felt it was an opportunity missed.
Well, a 4.5 for Carroll, and then the big reveal of the team. Wow. There's a lot of green in there.
Mate, that's what you want. Yellow, green. And if you have any, remember the rule. Any reds, we have to have blues.
True. We have double the blues to the reds, and then we have we almost have double or triple the greens that we do yellow.
Yeah, so if you have a whole team who are 11, you're 9th by the algorithm. So do the math there. That's probably a 4-3 side.
Look at this. Very good, Pete. Very good. So would you say this is our best performance to date?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, the North Melbourne game was obviously the anomaly because of the opposition, like North are turgid, let's be honest. But GWS, evidently they're good. I mean, I personally caveat, I don't rate GWS. I don't rate anything that's got no backbone, and they don't have a backbone. But definitely the best side we've beaten on paper, and I thought we didn't just beat them, we broke their heart. This week, for me, if they can do that again, Geelong have got a spine. They have got a backbone. They are willing to go toe-to-toe. And for me, I think that's a bigger test than GWS, in my opinion, because, GWS are tissue paper when it's wet. It's useful until it gets wet, innit?
Yeah, they're like Dubai. It's all flashy, but the longer you hang around, the more you realise there's no soul.
Like Geelong, they're willing to have a scrap with you. They're willing to go toe-to-toe. And
do you know what I love?
Do that against them, I'll be happy.
Do you know what I love? I love that we win and we can't get us off the ratings. When we lose, last week it was very easy to do a rating show in under an hour.
That was good, man.
That was good. That was very good. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for being here. If you enjoyed this video and you got some value out of it, please subscribe to Pommy and Oz on YouTube and the Blue Broad YouTube channel, or hit the like button, or share it with a friend. A lot of work goes into this behind the scenes to get this prepared. If you have any feedback, if visually you want to fix something up, let us know. I think we've figured it out. And so we've got our template and our formula and our process, Pommy, and we just execute on it week to week. And that's the show.
Mate, we always try to endeavour to provide. Hey, yeah, I mean, you can't say I don't.
That's true. Thank you very much for the $15 super sticker, Sandy. Welcome to membership. For whom it tolls.
Oh, Sandy.
And welcome to Chachi to Blue Broad YouTube membership. So, see you at the Blue Broad show in 60 seconds. Good night, everyone.
Cheers, guys.